Welcome to Charted Territory, the podcast where personal growth meets adventure. Join us, Vicky and Kimmy, lifelong best friends and business partners, as we use human design as a map to navigate the uncharted paths of life. Together, we'll explore how to align with your true self and live a life filled with clarity, purpose, and flow. Whether you're feeling lost, curious, or ready for change, we're here to inspire, entertain, and guide you with practical insights, playful conversations, and plenty of laughs. Let the adventure begin. Welcome to the first episode of Charted Territory. My name is Kimmy. I'm a 6'2" emotional projector, and I'm here with my co-host, co-business partner, best friend, and overall amazing person and human design expert, Vicky. And today we're going to jump into what human design is and what Charted Territory is all about. So before we get into all that, Vicky, please introduce yourself and then tell us, what is human design?
Okay, so hi everybody. I'm Vicky Garcia. I'm a 2-4 self-projected projector. And so, yeah, I think that would be it. Like, for the most part of it, we'll know much more things in the future. And so, what is human design? Human design is a super interesting self-knowledge tool and system theory, call it whatever. I'm really light, and really chill with this kind of terminology. So there's a lot of ways to explain what human design is. But for me, the most important part of it, or what I think that could be more interesting for our audience, is just to know that it's a super interesting tool that can help you to better know yourself and better understand how your system, meaning your body, works in an energetic, essential level. So that would be like the synthesize for me. And that's it.
Great. So, we're going to play a bit of interviewer interviewee in this episode because Vicky is the expert in this field. And I do know some things about human design, but I wouldn't say that I am at the deep knowledge level that Vicky is. So, what would you say is the difference between human design and other systems or methods like astrology, Myers Briggs, Enneagram, all these other personality things or tests?
Okay, so firstly, I would like to say in that sense that human design has to do with a lot of other ancient knowledges that we already know. For example, astrology has to do with human design. Also, I Ching has to do with human design. But it's not only esoteric or ancient kind of wisdom or knowledge, it also has a science to it because it also works on the quantic field and with quantum physics, to say in a way. It operates or it talks about also neutrinos and how the different energies, like in a proton, neutron, electron kind of level, operate in our system. So it has to do with all of that, but it's different from other systems as astrology can be, or enneagram, or personality tests, because I would say mainly and most importantly, it's a really much more precise, complex, huge, and accurate kind of knowledge about yourself. Like, for example, if you go into an enneagram, that's gonna envelop certain things for you, and maybe you can come to certain realizations or some things that may be useful for you to use in your life, etc., etc. But with human design, it's like a complete picture about who you are as a human being, represented by how the energy flows and works into your body, to say in a way. And so that talks to you about how do you relate with yourself and also with your environment. That's including life situations, people around you, and all kind of things. So it's a really, really complete system that guides you through all the different aspects that make you you. So I would say mainly it's much more precise, much more accurate, and bigger in a sense
Would,
that any other kind of knowledge that I've come to know.
would you say that it's more holistic?
Yeah, probably it's. much more holistic, and that way that word is really accurate too, because it even human design has a lot of depth and a lot of layers, and so you have to start from a beginning place and then start to go like further and further and deeper. But it even tells you how you should be nourishing your body, like for example in a nutrient based kind of approach, to say how you should be exercising, how you should be, like a lot of things are also imprinted in your human design up to that level. So yeah, it's a really holistic kind of knowledge and approach that you can give yourself to yourself. So yeah, in that sense I would say it's really much more holistic.
Um, if if you're listening to this and you have come across human design before, you might know a few things here and there about maybe your design, or you've heard some buzzwords like generator, manifester, these kinds of things. But Vicky, for those that maybe haven't
Mhm.
come across human design before or want to learn more about each of these things, what would you say are the key components, that first layer of human design that people have to know just at the beginning stages?
Okay, so when you look at the human design chart or blueprint, um, graphically or visually, you're gonna have like two columns. One says design and the other one says personality. Those are like the planetary aspects that imprint your energy in your design, to say. And the personality side, which is always gonna look like a little darker in the map, it's the conscious side of your design. So those are gonna be aspects that you are gonna relate more easily with. And then there's the design part, which is like a more unconscious or subconscious energy that normally people tend to identify you with, but you sometimes don't identify yourself so easily with. So that's like first. And then you're gonna have a certain kind of aspects that are always present. The main of them are that you're gonna have like your type or energy type, that it's gonna be either a generator, which can be a pure generator as I like to call them, or manifesting generators. And then you're gonna have projectors, manifestors, and reflectors. So that's the four, five subtypes of human design energy types. And depending on your type, you're going to have a strategy that is linked to that type. And the strategy is going to tell you how opportunities are meant to come into your life, to say, in a way. I'm saying a strategy. True. And so
Yes.
after, you're going to have your authority, and your authority is your personal inner guide. So that's the way you're going to respond to those opportunities. So, okay, an opportunity comes to me. How do I know if I should pick this opportunity or just let it go, for example? These
So
doubts, this confusion.
basically your
Yeah,
authority helps you make decisions that are more,
exactly.
well, when you listen to your authority and you're aligned, then you're able to make more aligned decisions.
Exactly. That's the main point or goal or point of human design overall. It's a little bit about understanding better how can I better attune, how can I better align with myself, so that I don't have this feeling that I'm always like fighting against everything and against all odds and against everyone in life, like just to achieve the things that I want or that I think that I want. It's a process of understanding ourselves better and deconditioning from the things that are actually not ours, so that we can live a life that it's actually more fulfilling to ourselves. And so, following with your strategy, more aligned opportunities are going to come into your life. And then, responding to those opportunities through your authority, it's gonna make you be able to better align with your true desires and your true goals in life and your purpose, like your pathway, like your unique pathway, no, in a way. So that would be a little bit it.
Yes, I think the basic parts of your design, your energy type, your strategy, and your authority are the perfect place to start, right? In this human design journey. And we're going to go through all the aspects over time on this podcast. That's one of the points. But um, we have to start somewhere, right? So the best place to start is at the beginning. And I'd love for you to explain a bit more in detail what are the energy types, and go into more detail about each one.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Yeah, as you say, it's super important. It's super nice that you mentioned that because it's super important to understand that first things first. And that applies to almost everything. But what I want to mean to say in this sense, applied to human design, is that when you actually understand your energy type, what does that mean, and you align with your strategy and with your authority, every other aspect like comes into place or falls into place naturally. So that's gonna happen by itself because that's the nature of being of things. Like if something is imprinted with an energetic essence, if it's aligned with what it is, the other aspects are gonna like naturally fall into place. So you are gonna envelop the layers like naturally in a way. So that's the most important aspects, and so it's really nice that you mention it. And so explaining a little bit further, I'm gonna start first with the difference because I like to do this difference so that it's like really clear for people who don't understand that much or about human design yet. So we have 9 energetic centers, and like traditionally, human design starts reading the centers either down, like upwards or downwards, like from the crown or from the root. But I like to center myself like in the first center to the sacral center. Why? Because that's gonna be the main aspect that it's gonna differentiate two types of people in life in the world. So there's gonna be energetic beings and non-energetic beings. And so the energetic beings are those who have the sacral activated or defined, their sacral center. And so all of these are generators. And then we have non-energetic beings, which are projectors, manifestors, and reflectors. So the energetic beings are a 70% of human world population. And so it's more or less half and half manifesting generators and then pure generators. And so what's the difference? Manifesting generators also have a motor that's connected to their throat. So they are really fast paced energy people, and they like to do a lot of things and do it fast and do it rapidly. And they need to pivot like in their interests and explore different things. And they have a great ability of manifesting things into the world through their voice, through their throats, and not necessarily their voice, but there can be other kinds of expression. And then the generators are all about having this sustainable energy that both of them are like batteries that cannot run out of battery because they recharge themselves with doing things. But, and this is the important thing, they have to be things that are meant to you. So these are the things that light you up, that you're passionate about, that you are eager to pursue, and all these kind of things. So if you're a generator, like that's the most important aspect. You have to do a lot of things that nurture you. You can also do things like for other people if you want, for people that you love or whatever, but it's really important to not put all your energetic resources like on the basket of another one, because you have to fill your cup first. This mantra is like perfect for generators, both manifesting or pure generators. And then we have non-energy types. So what does that mean? That all of the other people have no energy whatsoever? No, it's not like just like that, because we have open centers and we can receive the energy of our environments. And so for example, if I am a projector, so if I am in connection with a generator at a certain point, I can feel really energized because I'm receiving all of his sacral energy into my sacral center, because I have that openness that enables me to receive it. I can even amplify it. If I am aligned, I can amplify the energy of my environment in all of my open centers. But what I need to know is that that energy is not always going to be accessible for me. So there are going to be times that I'm going to feel super energetic, and there are the times where I'm not going to feel energetic at all. And so, in that sense, I have to listen to my body and to my energetic cues and feelings to see if I am doing what is proper for me at the moment. And so, for non energy types, such as projectors, manifestors, and reflectors, it's super important to respond to how their body feels in that energetic sense. So if I have the energy available for something, I do it. But if I don't, I should probably be resting. I should probably be recharging. I should probably be reconnecting with myself. And so projectors are like around that 20% of world's population, and manifestors like a 9%, and then reflectors 1%. So that would be a little bit a synthesis about the different energy types. And so all of them have different strategies, to follow. In the case of generators, they have to wait to respond. So the world is going to throw a lot of stimulus to them, and they are going to respond to those stimuli. So there's like this typical saying that generators are designed to do things, like to build things. And that's mainly true. But what I think is that they are mainly designed to respond to the things in life. So you're going to build something if you're responding to something that light you up inside yourself. And so you're responding to that building or creating or doing whatever. But it's like as a response. Their main theme is responding to things as sacral beings. And then for projectors, for us, it's waiting for the invitation, because we are meant to be like the ones that see the big picture of things and understand systems, people, and people as systems. So we are really good guides, counselors, and all those kind of things. So if you're a projector listening to us, you will probably have find yourself, like for example, trying to give advice to a friend or whatever. And if you're giving unsolicited advice, for example, you're always gonna get back rejection, because that's an energy thing. And so if you are not being invited into that, you are forcing what you see on the other person, and the other person is gonna close up, because we have this aura that we can see into people and things, even though they don't maybe want to be seen in that sense. And so we have to ask for permission, and that's the wait for the invitation theme or strategy for projectors. And then manifestors have a really closed aura that doesn't let anything in, because they are like the pioneers, they are the initiator ones, they are the visionaries, the ones that, and so they have these creative urges that come from wherever. And so they are like, we should do this or we should do that, and they have this superpower of a lot of people following them into that pioneering thing or whatever. But what they have to understand is that they have to learn to inform their surroundings about their next move. So I'm gonna do this, and the people who are meant for that are gonna like just follow, and that's gonna be like your tribe, to say in a way, or whatever. And so they are designed for doing that, but they are not designed for always doing or always. And so that's also an important side for the manifestor ones. And then the reflectors, which is really unusual and not frequent type. And also they have sometimes a lot of confusion until they get to know their design, because they work as an environmental thermometer, to say. And so when you put a reflector into an environment, because they are completely open, they mirror a little bit what's around them. So to see if an environment is healthy or not, or then you're going to look at the reflector in the room, and if the reflector is thriving and having fun, and then that's going to be an indicator of how the environment is. So that's also a really interesting role for reflectors. And they have this super special strategy that makes them wait a full lunar cycle to know what's best for them, because they have this openness. They have to go through all the feelings, and they get all this wisdom through all this lunar cycle, and after that they are ready to make a decision. So that would be a little bit it for the energetic types and their different strategies.
Awesome. I think that was a great deep dive into a superficial topic, but a great place to start for sure. For someone who's listening that might feel a bit lost or a bit out of alignment, how can someone use human design to start finding clarity or feel more aligned? What does aligned even mean?
Okay. So, yeah, this is a super interesting question. And it's
I
a
know.
hard one to answer in a way. And at the same time, no. Like, I've always believed that we all know when we are doing and living, like in general, not just doing things, but when we are living life with a sense of ourselves and like purpose. So that's what I believe that everybody should be feeling mostly. And so it's normal to have some doubts or confusion or feeling lost like one day, you know. But if that's the main way you're feeling most of the time in your life, it's that maybe you are working towards something that is not what actually is meant for you, or what you actually want, what you actually desire in life. And so this is also a super harsh topic because it's really difficult to know what do I even want or what do I even desire, or are my desires mine, or are the desires that society has taught me that I should be having, the things that I should be desiring, because we live in this life which is full of stimuli and conditioning. And so we have to come back to ourselves and really tune in and see what's actually important for me, what actually builds up my happiness, my peace, my satisfaction, my sense of success, and all these different aspects that sometimes it's even difficult for ourselves to know whether we are actually desiring things from our inner desire, or are desires that have been almost imposed by society or maybe family expectations, or all these kind of things like play a part. And so better understanding your design helps you to better attune with who you really are. And like there's a little bit like a sense, I would say, of remembrance, like yeah, I can see myself here. And so there's also like, or for me at least, it was a little bit like that also. It was also a relief feeling of like, okay, so there's nothing wrong with who I am, or the things that I like or dislike, or because there's so much messages and mantras in the society we live in today, like so the 5 a.m. club, and then the indulging pleasures club, and then the whatever club, and another club, and there's so many clubs in life and so many different messages and mantras and all these things that sometimes drives you crazy, because it's like, so what should I keep, what should I be heading for? And so the only right answer is going to be your answer. And for attuning with that, human design is super useful because you're going to see yourself and actually recognize yourself and see, oh yeah, there, that's me, and that actually feels good for me. And when you better understand who you are, your energy type, how it operates, how it works, your strategy, your authority, and how all those things help you to discern your voice from all the other voices, you gain like a lot of clarity and a lot of security. And also, I would say, a sense of boldness, in the sense of, this is me, this is who I am, and it's right for me to be this way, and so I'm gonna push that forward. And so that's beautiful, I would say. I'm not sure if that answered your question properly, but I think it does.
I think so. Um, as we have mentioned, human design can be quite overwhelming for someone approaching it for the first time. What would be
Yeah.
your recommendation to someone that has just started or has just learned a little bit about it, or has had it mentioned to them by someone? What is your recommendation for a first approach? What can someone do? They now have have their chart. Now what?
Okay, beautiful. So now, and this is funny because in the first moment I was gonna say, just go with your intuition. That's also a little bit because, for example, I'm a 2-4, and so my line 2 of my profile, which is the hermit, gives me this kind of intuitive knowledge about things, and so I usually go into things into this intuitive way of like just letting myself guide myself in an intuitive way and explore it that way. But that's not so like so relatable or so perfect like for everyone, because for example there's other people who are line ones and they are going to be the investigator, and so they want to go like through all that has ever been written about human design and start reading and reading and wanting to know more. And so there's a lot of different personalities and ways to approach information in that sense. So, what I would recommend that could be an overall or general recommendation for everyone is to find a source of knowledge that it's actually has expertise or knows what it's talking, who or what they are talking about, or whoever it is or whatever it is. You have to be a little bit, like critic in that sense, and see if it's actually knowledge that you can have this confidence in, that it's a trustworthy source. Also, if it attunes with you, if it resonates with you, that's also a thing, because maybe, for example, there's a lot of human design creators out there right now. In English, it's a super accessible information. In Spanish, not so much yet. um, but there's a lot of creators there, and there are manifestors, generators, projectors talking about human design. So you are also gonna have different kinds of resonance, which different of them. So I would just say explore, and then grab someone or something that actually feels good to you, and go ahead with it like a little bit. But it's much more easy when you are guided hand on hand with an expert that actually has gone through it a little bit and knows how to operate with it and how to better guide you. So I would recommend that maybe going into something, a lecture or a course with someone that can guide you a little bit in your discovery process. Usually it's going to be useful for most of the people who are approaching it for the first time.
My recommendation is that you book a session with Vicky. You can get the
Yes, of
link for that
course.
in the bio, in the description of the episode. But yeah, we offer human design chart readings with Vicky. She's incredible. We have a really practical approach to human
As you can
design
see.
here. And we also have a 15-minute discovery session if you just want to dip your toes in and see if Vicky is a good match for you. So, absolutely
Yeah.
no pressure there. Feel free to check out the links and learn more if you're interested. Um, One question that I did want to ask you before we move on is that we've talked a little bit about feeling unaligned.
Yeah.
How would you say someone could even know they're not aligned? What are the feelings that come up that someone could say, "Oh, I'm feeling these things. It could be because I'm not aligned with my human design."
So actually, there are very specific themes that you're gonna experience based on your energy type, if you are aligned or you are unaligned. So these are called the signature or not self themes, and also they are called the alignment or misalignment cues. I like to call it if you are in a flow state or in a foggy state, because
Mm,
for me it's a little bit like when you are aligned, you are in this state of flow, no, like everything
mm,
feels good, everything is easy, life comes and goes easy. It's like, yeah, and you're that main character of your movie and everything is working as it should, and you're
everything is
feeling,
working.
I don't know, empowered, and everything is bright, and and so that's
Mhm,
gonna feel a little different for each kind of type. So for
mhm,
example, for generators, the main feeling has to do with satisfaction. they come to the end of the day and they are feeling like, oh my god, I'm so satisfied, that was like such a good day and I did so many things, and these things really nurture me and are the ones that are bringing passion to my life. And so they're gonna feel like that, like, oh my god, so satisfying. And that's beautiful for them. Okay, and so for projectors in our case, we are gonna be feeling successful. And it's a success that it's actually meant to be like the stereotypical success, like economical success, relationship success. So projectors are designed to be successful, but
Wow.
you have to feel it before seeing it. So I always say that our authority is one, but the second authority for projectors is trust. So you have to be feeling it before. So when we feel successful, like, oh my god, yeah, I'm that person, I'm coming into that room and yeah, 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 that is me. And so you're happy with yourself in that sense, because you're feeling so much success inside of you, even though maybe it hasn't manifested outsidedly yet, or
Yeah.
just yet.
So
So that
let's
would be for
let's
projectors.
stick to the foggy cues, the misalignment cues, because I think
Okay,
that's
and
more
so
interesting. I mean, it's great to feel aligned, and if any of you are feeling those feelings from your self theme, congrats, that's incredible. But I think in general, we can agree that we live in a society where generally people are not feeling great. So just
yeah,
so people can be really clear about what those not self themes are. And if you are a generator feeling X, this is something you could explore to find alignment and feel more fulfillment and joy in your life. So let's just go
yeah,
through like generator, this,
yeah.
projector, this. And
So
you can
for
explain a bit with each one,
yes,
but
yes. I'm gonna just list them and then go into them. Okay. So for
by the way,
generators,
parentheses. So, as Vicky said at the beginning of the podcast, she is a self projected projector, which means she talks a lot. So, if you see me interrupting her, please do not take this as a mean thing. This is just me trying to keep her on track because otherwise we'd be here for 10 hours. So, just keep that in mind as
no,
you're
it's
listening.
perfectly fine. In fact,
You appreciate
I
it.
thank you. Yes, I
Yeah,
appreciate
exactly.
it because
Yeah.
it's important for me actually. Yeah. So it's helpful. It's
It's a match
helpful.
made in heaven. Like we've been friends since birth, so it's all good.
Yeah, so that's a little bit it, and it's
Yeah.
also the confidence that we wanna show
Yes.
case in the
Yeah.
in the podcast too. So and this naturality to it too. So that's gonna be us playing and having fun, and that's how it should be, or that's what we think and what we believe at least. So yeah, the point is, and I want to do this I don't know, like advice note before going into that, just that we maybe all have experienced different sides of all of this, but it's just
Mhm.
that like for your energy type it's going to be more prominent or um, relatable at a specific feeling.
Mhm.
Okay, so these are for generators: frustration. For projectors, it's going to be bitterness. For manifestors, it's going to be anger or rage, even rage. And for reflectors, it's going to be disappointment. And why and how, or how does this feel, or how I different? Like I felt like everybody has felt anger and
Yeah.
everybody has felt frustration, so what am I? So yeah, you probably want to know what's your type first, but then you're gonna acknowledge that when something really is not like in place, what the more like the main energy to that, the main feeling is going to be your not self theme. So for generators is frustration. Why? Because generators are made like to continuously move forward, so they are
Mhm.
like this train that never stops. And so when you're focusing your energy where it's not, you are gonna be moving by, but like you're not gonna move from a circle. So
Yeah,
there's something internal.
you're moving in circles instead of in a line, which
Yeah,
is what your
yeah,
design is meant to
yeah,
do. That's
Exactly.
frustrating.
So yeah, that's frustrating. Exactly. So it's this thing of like there's an internal knowledge that I should be moving forward, like my life should be advancing, growing, expanding, and it's not. Why? Because I'm moving in circles. Like I'm moving all the time, but that energy is not carrying me any step further. Why? Because it's focused on always doing something for someone instead of following my own passions. So that's a little bit it, like for generators, both pure generators and manifesting generators. Also, manifesting generators have to take into consideration that they are also going to experience a little bit the cues of the manifestors because they have like this mixed energy. So for manifesting generators, it's gonna feel like frustrating and also enraging. So this frustration is gonna give me anger. So I'm angry because I'm feeling frustrated, but like the main energy is the frustration, but then it's gonna also manifest as this anger, for example. And for example, for projectors, and this is super relatable for every projector that I've ever spoken to,
Literally.
because we may feel frustrated or we may feel angry sometimes, but the main feeling for that, like on that or in that overall, is bitterness. And this bitterness feels like when we are feeling successful, it's like, oh my God, life is so fulfilling, life is beautiful, life. And when we're feeling that bitterness, like everything is shit. I don't like anything at all, no one at all. And so everything
Yeah.
feels like bitter, 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 bitter. And most of the times it has to do with being overworking yourself or overriding your energy, like constantly pushing yourself to do and to be and to more and more and more and more and more, when probably you should be doing less so that you can attune with who I am, how I feel. Because as I say, our nature is to feel successful just by being. That's our main purpose, because that's what we have come to share. We have come to share what we are, and so we should be feeling that way. And when we don't, the point is, most of the times that you are seeing that person doing whatever and that person doing whatever and that person doing whatever, and there's going to be a lot of comparison that it's going to even upgrade the bitterness to
Yeah.
another level of bitterness,
Yeah.
because you're going to be like, so I'm doing this and this and this and this, and this person who should only be doing whatever, and he's not even doing that.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be looking at
For
what everybody does.
projectors, seriously, like monitor your social media intake carefully. I know for
Yeah,
me, it I can feel it. When I'm on
yeah,
social media for too long, it's like I can feel the bitterness build. And I think you hit the nail on the head, the comparison aspect. Like
yeah,
you as a projector, we are a minority. We
yeah,
work differently in the world. We're comparing ourselves to the generators.
yeah,
And then add all the layers of social media, the fact that it's not reality, the fact that it's a highlight reel, all this stuff, the fact that it's edited, like it can really make you feel like shit. Like especially I
yeah,
think if you're a projector. So keep that in mind. I think it's an important
yeah,
thing to think about.
because you absolutely feel like you are
Failing.
falling. How do you say,
Falling
like
behind.
falling, yeah, falling behind.
Failing.
And not also falling behind, but that sense of falling behind makes you think that I should be doing more, and you
Oof.
feel guilty because you don't understand why don't you have like the strive or the energy or the capacity of commitment of just following through with what you said that you were going to do, that probably is like working 16 hours a day. And it's and so it's so overwhelming because you are not designed for doing that.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, for projectors mainly, I think it's super, super, super important to understand that. And also, there's normally a lot of openness for projectors in their charts. And so,
Yeah.
they are open to so much stimuli and receiving a lot of information that most of the times feels really confusing because you are not sure where you should be heading or what you should be doing. So yeah, those are this is why human design is so useful, because understanding gives you a much better understanding, never better said, that it's like your personal map for your
Yeah.
exact route, like the route that you are really going. If you knew that you had like the perfect route, that following it you're gonna discover like all the wonders, all the beautiful places, all the happiness, and all those things. So that is life, and life is
Mhm.
designed to be like that for each and one of us. And our human design is our map for navigating that route. And so
Oh,
that's what I
wow.
think.
This
Yeah.
is like so perfect for the next section of the podcast. And I was just going to say that I'm so excited to dive deeper into all these topics, to really explore all of it, the intricacies, the ins and outs, the nuances, right? Because all of this is really nuanced. It's like, oh, well, does it mean that if I every time I feel bitterness, I'm misaligned? Does it mean that because I'm a projector and I don't have energy, it doesn't mean I can't achieve anything in life? Like, there's so many questions and so many things here to unpack. And what you were
Yeah.
saying about it being a route and a path, this is why we call this podcast Charted Territory. And
Yeah.
so I want to talk a little bit about what to expect with this podcast, what it is, why we created it. The name really comes from the idea that life traditionally is thought of as uncharted territory. You don't know what's going to happen in your life. And while that is true, we think that with human design as a map, as a guideline, as a blueprint, you can really navigate that uncharted territory and turn it into
It's a
charted
territory.
territory.
Yeah. Yeah, because that sense of knowing comes from the inside, has nothing to do with the external circumstances. Life can change a lot, dramatically and rapidly sometimes, and sometimes not so dramatically and not so rapidly, but that doesn't mean that it's not sometimes confusing to navigate or whatever. So, a little bit like the sense or the point is that when I'm grounded inside of myself, when I have this anchor that it's me knowing me and my capacity and who I am and what I want from life, and not only what I want from life, but what I want for life and what I want to give and what I want to share. When I know these things, it doesn't matter what happens around me,
Mhm.
because I am better prepared to be the person that I truly am. And so there's like this overall satisfaction feeling because I am who I am. So the
Yeah.
key for us is a little bit like that authenticity, reaching that
Oh,
authenticity.
exactly. I was just going to say a huge buzzword right now that I keep hearing is be authentic. Authenticity rules. And you can't be authentic if you don't know yourself, right? So it all
It's
starts
really
at a point
difficult,
of
yeah.
knowing who you truly are, finding your authentic self so that you can find that flow and ultimately do whatever it is that you want to do, or if you need to find purpose, or if you need to fix relationships, or whatever it is that you want to do. I think the beauty of this system, of this tool, is that it's not just for one thing. Do you need clarity
Yeah.
in your business? Human design can be a way of achieving that. Do you need help with a relationship with your family member or your partner? This is also a fantastic tool, because if you know yourself and you know the people around you, how they work, how they think, what type of energy they have, and how to communicate better, even just have a common vocabulary to talk about how we're feeling, that's only going to enhance your relationships further and make them deeper
Yeah.
and more connected. It's really
Yeah.
in any aspect of your life, it can be a really, really incredible tool. So
Yeah,
I'm just so
absolutely.
excited for what's to come, to have
Yeah.
all these conversations, to include you, the person who's listening, answer your questions, invite people to talk about cool topics. We have already a list of like 20 or 25 things we want to talk about. We haven't even started the podcast. So I would say that if you are even a slightly bit intrigued about this little thing called human design, I'd say stick around, see what's up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good recommendation. Also, there's a lot of other maybe self-knowledge tools out there and
Mhm.
self-knowledge paths, and that's perfectly right and also perfectly a perfect match, I would say.
Correct.
Also, with human design, the point is a little bit like uh, other ways, other paths, other knowledges can give you a lot, but this
Mhm.
is like for me truly a shortcut because it's actually a mix between this what we said, the map to your personal route, and at the same time it's like the instructions manual. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's actually pretty useful, so I would recommend everybody to just dive a little bit deeper if you're
Yeah.
feeling that call and see what
Exactly.
it has to
And I
offer to
think that's
you.
also something really beautiful is that I truly believe that um, things come to you when they're meant to come to you.
Yeah,
So if you're
absolutely.
listening to this and you're like, oof, this is like totally not me, this is so whatever, XYZ, that's totally fine. You know, like maybe you'll find your way back in 5 months, 5 years, 10
That was
years, five
actually my
days.
case. You know, it was actually my case.
Exactly. I think that's really beautiful. The universe is perfect, and we are always exactly where we're meant to be. I know a lot of people won't agree with that, but I truly believe that even in the bad times, I choose to believe that always in the right place and that the universe is guiding me to where I need to be. I think what makes me really trust that is that because I know who I am and I am making decisions based on my authentic self, it makes me trust the fact that I'm going in the right direction. And I think that's what really helps people, anyone, get clarity, is that it's easy to feel confused and to not know where you're going, uncharted territory, when you don't have a map. But if you
Yeah.
have a map, then even though you might have to take a detour, you know where you're going, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Very good metaphor, actually. Yeah.
Thanks. What are you,
Yeah.
Vicky? What are you most excited about for the podcast? Any like specific topics or
Oh my God.
general stuff?
That's such an open question, you know. Yeah, I think I would say I'm excited about everything, you know, but I'm super excited. I'm super grateful, firstly, like to have this opportunity of sharing this experience with you, and also with all the people that hopefully will come and listen to us and follow and
Yes.
provide
Please follow
more
us,
insights.
subscribe to the
Yeah.
podcast, leave us a nice review. We're just getting started. Our videos will get better, our audio will get better. We've had to fight with the audio today. I didn't know if it was recording. This is a whole thing. But you know what? We're showing up, we're trying, we're doing our best. We really hope to serve you, to give you information that is useful and just have a fun time. Like we really just
Yeah,
want to have a
that's
fun time.
it.
Like we're just two
That's it.
fun gals.
Yeah, actually, it's exactly like that. And actually, when we were talking about how to create the podcast or what was the idea, we also talked a lot about this concept of like kitchen table talk, you know,
Yeah,
because we are two
exactly.
friends just having a conversation about things that interest us and that we think that can be really interesting to a lot of other people too. And
Yeah,
sometimes you don't have the opportunity to connect with each of that person or people, no, in life because maybe you didn't met at that coffee or whatever, I don't know,
yeah,
but we can connect through this podcast, and so we can find an audience that feels aligned with what we talk about and that hopefully will feel some kind of relation and some kind of acknowledgement or relatability or call it whatever, you know, but maybe hopefully we will I don't know, like kind of build a community around this podcast and these themes and these topics, and we will be
yeah,
able to discuss and do a lot of much more things in the future, fun
yeah.
things together in community. So that's a little bit like our dream, for this podcast. And that's a little bit like, that's the beautiful thing, no? And we know that that dream comes from a place of wanting to serve, that authenticity that we were talking about. And so we are, the biggest dream is that it's useful for people, and that also maybe gives a little bit of hope in a world that sometimes feels a little bit hopeless,
Yeah.
a little bit of light in a world that sometimes feels a little bit, I don't know, maybe gray or maybe dark. And so that's a little bit it, and having a lot of fun with it, and just see what it has to offer to
Yeah.
us and to the
Yeah.
people around us. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
and
little
also
bit
in a really approachable way. One of the reasons, a bit of backstory, I don't know, will this make it in the podcast? I don't know. But a bit of
it.
backstory of like how this all kind of started is that, well, like I said, Vicky and I have been best friends, well, best friends for the last few years,
16
but
years.
friends for life. We've literally known each other since I was born because Vicky Vicky's older than me, but she was waiting for me for to be born. So yeah,
Yeah,
our parents are family friends, so we've known each other literally since we were kids, and we really reconnected in the last 10 years, and have created a really beautiful friendship. And I remember when
a
Vicky
little bit
was
more
really
already. We are getting older. It's almost
yeah
15 years now.
yeah, yeah. And I remember when Vicky was really getting into human design. After I talked to her about it for the first time because someone told me about it, um, and us geeking out about this and that and oh Kimmy this, and we really connected as well over the fact that we were both projectors, and we felt, I think in that moment, that was a determining factor for us because it solidified something that was like, oh, like we understand each other. We knew that, but it's like in that moment, it was like, oh, no, no, we understand each other on like a deeper level. Like we are not the same because obviously we're not, but it's a shared experience, right? The
Yeah,
fact that we're both projectors in this world of generators, in that moment, I felt very seen. I was like, what?
yeah.
Like, that's
And
crazy.
that's super important for a projector.
Yeah.
So that's like, oh my God, so you see me and you understand me. And so that's so valuable for us. And so, yeah, that's a beautiful feeling
Yeah. And so
right
I
there.
remember, talking about human design and geeking out, and Vicky finished her certification in reading. And I just said, we need to share this, like we have an opportunity here to really do something really cool and awesome and share a lot of
Hmm,
things.
hmm.
And I said to her, I said, you are so talented. People need to know how talented you are, and how
Thank
and
you.
how like your Vicky's brain functions. I always say that Vicky lives in another dimension.
Yeah.
And it's really beautiful the way you see the world. You've opened my eyes to a lot of things that I think I never thought about, and it has really enhanced my experience on this earth so far, and we've only maybe
Oh,
gotten to like
baby.
2 or 3% of it, of everything, right? The universe and time and just so many things that I think have been just so incredible to talk to someone about. And I'm just excited to have those conversations in this format so that we can share it with other people and share
Yeah.
knowledge and
Yeah, that's
inspire.
actually the whole point behind the podcast. Like we actually reached a point where it didn't have to do with the certification at the first place, because when we first talked about it was almost, I don't know, maybe more than 1 year ago now. And at the point it was like it would be so nice to do a podcast, and we were thinking about the fact of, okay, but what do we talk about and how do we do it, and we would like to do something about human design, but what should we talk about? And maybe I wasn't feeling that prepared at the moment. I hadn't gone through the certification yet, neither. Like I had this approach, but it was like more personal approach. Now it's like a more really, really much more expanded approach to human design and knowledge, and really further knowledge. And so, yeah, but we've also been talking about these deep topics and life and death and love and like all these great, great questions and topics about life and human experience, and for a lot of time now. And I don't know. I always say that with me, the conversation is always deep because we start talking about cookies and we end up talking about life, and yes, these great big aspects about life. And so, yeah, it's beautiful to share that with every human being who has an interest on those topics too. And so that was a little bit the point of the podcast. Like, let's just share it and see if there are people who find something interesting in there.
Exactly. Exactly right. Yeah.
So I
Well,
think we've covered
yeah.
almost all the topics that we wanted for the podcast of today, because we actually wanted to introduce a little bit of human design. What's the podcast about? What's our intention with it? And so, at last, and after like 3 or 4 tries, we got like to almost do this kind of coherent, but at the same time natural episode. So I think we nailed it.
Yeah. It is what it is. So,
I'm
yeah,
feeling
if
successful right now.
well, that's all we can ask for, isn't it? So, if anything that we talked about today intrigues you or you want to know more, please follow us, please subscribe, send it
Please
to a
follow
friend,
us.
and we will see you at the next episode.